started. First of all, it was February of last year when we did our last live event. And, didn't realize then that what was happening the next month. This is our first live event since then. And anyway, I want to welcome everybody to our Forsyth Tech Exec group. We're doing these now. One of the things that's going to be a carryover from the way we did things last year is we're always going to do virtual meetings. That's just a given, because what we do when we record these, because and we may have 8 people here today, but we might have 40 people to download this over the next month. So I want to thank everyone for coming out, helping us kick off our live events. This beautiful facility here at WeWork. We thought it would be a good showcase to start it, especially the location and South End of the county being tech hub. Anyway, thanks for you guys coming out and joining us. I want to recognize the sponsors, Advertorium Solutions. They actually have an office here in this building. It's on the second floor down. Clips, Kelly, thank you.
I'm the founding.
Smith and Howard, they couldn't be here with us today. Of course, we always we can't do economic development without the county. So I don't know, several months ago, Andy, you and I started talking about doing the program. Andy called me up, joined the chamber, and I wanted to know a little bit more about People Smart. And as he was telling me a little bit about, he started sharing about the Alexa platform. And as much as with technology as I'm involved, I knew that Alexa was probably something more than a little box that plays my music anymore. But I really didn't know what it was until Andy started telling me that they build on the Alexa platform. But InfoSmart's a lot more than just, the company is a lot more than just building on the Alexa platform. So we've got Lek and Ash and Kurt from InfoSmart here with us. Andy's going to start speaking to us in just a moment. But they're in everything IT, staffing, consulting, cloud migration, managed services, 23 years in the business. They got an office here. Actually, it's a Swanee address, but they're here in Forsyth. They got an office in South Carolina and one in India. Now, the irony here, and Andy had to do a trip. So we move into live events. We're doing the reverse. The speaker and everybody else is live. So this is I said that in 2007 I was in the banking industry, and when that recession hit, it was like it became the bizarro world. Everything was backwards. COVID hit, everything is backwards. Well, today we're doing the same thing. Everything is backwards. So anyway, we're just glad, Andy, that you're here to give us the presentation. I've had several phone calls, people wanting to know more about, the Alexa platform. They think that I build on the Alexa platform. It's not me. Can't make our meetings, and download the video and listen to Andy. So anyway, I'm going to turn things over. Andy, tell us about Alexa.
Hey, thank you, Scott. Thank you very much. Can you all hear me okay?
Perfectly.
Cool, good. Thank you, Scott. Thank you very much for that introduction there. Yeah, I myself and Scott met a long time back, and we talked about this. I think I don't want to repeat the same things, but I'm here in India. I was, I really want to do this live, but I have to come and see my mom and on an emergency, and she's doing a lot better right now, I think. So I said, yeah, let's do this. I really want to do this, and kind of give an enlightenment on, or give some information on Alexa and what it is about, and what we do at InfoSmart too. So, stating that, I want to be a little bit, I want to tell a story as how I actually began into the Alexa and, getting into this voice technology. So be it. Um, I actually had been running as, doing my job as a chief architect for some of the public sector and consulting companies previously. But there was a day when I have this new gadgets in my house, the Echo Show and the Alexa, the Echo Dot and the Alexa Show. And I have two kids. One is 14 years old and now 18, girl. But when my boy was like 10 years, he actually plays more with Alexa than I do, and they playing more and more on the Alexa, the Echo Dot, and playing games and all that. And I actually, my interest went and say, let me go in more into what is Alexa, and what does it do. And I was really I'm really a technology passionate and more into technology. And when I saw the benefits of what is going to be, I think voice is going to be the next generation of what we're going to be doing in the several years. And as Steve Jobs said, innovation is the technology leaders, and innovation is always you need to follow somebody else to make it happen. So, and when my son playing more on it, or even when I play on my smartphone, right? He said, "Daddy, don't push that phone. You just need to touch it. You don't need to push it. Just touch it." So now I think the millennium, the next generation, it's a way like this, like Daddy, don't touch it, but just think about it. You just talk to it. So there are so many gadgets and devices that are there right now, and I'm going to dive into. I'm going to share my screen that I've built out for this presentation. Can everybody see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So WISE, again, InfoSmart Technologies has been there from last 28 years, and this is one of the, and we are into AWS partnership, and we have, gotten into this technology area of AWS, which is more into the cloud migrations and cloud solutions, but we are also innovative in creating Alexa skills. So I'm going to dive into more for what is it about. Um, just to give uh, market analysis of what the voice, like the Echo Dots or the Echo Shows. Does everybody have an Echo Dot or an Echo Show or a Google Hub or a Google thing at home? Okay, so I know yeah, I think every household in the US, this is one of the most selling things, and it is Google, the Alexa on the iPhones have Siri, and I think Android has something, I don't know about that, but iPhone, Siri, and Alexa, Echo Shows, and Voice is pretty much every household has an Alexa. And last year on a Thanksgiving Day, there was 1.8 million Alexa Echo Dots and Echo Shows sold on one day, just on one day. So I think the voice market is actually going to be more prominent as we go, and there will be more and more use cases that can be built out on Alexa shows and Alexa the Echo Dots. So as you see that 1.5 of the smart speaker owners shop by Voice Monthly, that means like most of the people who are actually shopping through Amazon and who have an Echo Show or an Echo Dot, mostly they just, since their account is being attached to the Echo Show, or the device. People just order all their supplies using, instead of going to Amazon.com. If they are regular of some subscriptions or anything else, they just actually go and do their voice shopping on Alexa show. So I think technology has made people lethargic, but it is more of how the business is going to be harnessing the power of the voice to build up their business in voice technologies. So I think, as you see, the 2000 market size is about 1.7 million. In 2030, I think there's going to be the 26 million just in the growth rate of voice and how voice applications are going to be built out. So Scott has told me, I think it's more of, knowledge wise for Alexa and what is it about and what it can do. So I'm going to dive, as you see, that's the next slide. For hundreds of millions of people today own Echo Dot, and I think all of you might have an Echo Dot or an Echo Show. So voice is going to be the third key channel for commerce, and since AI and machine learning is one of the key aspects of voice, it's going to be one of the disruptive technology that's going to be ruling the world. As you see today, I think Tesla is introducing voice. Toyota, GM is actually introducing voice echo dots into the cars also, so that you don't really have to touch the screen to go on with the GPS and all that. It's actually just, you just say, hey, I wanted to go here, and then you just say the address and it takes you there. So voice is going to be the more prominent technology as we go into the next generations. So what is Alexa? I think I really don't want to go into the technology, but Scott has mentioned there are technology people and who are very much aware of how it works out. So we are, InfoSmart is mostly concentrating on Alexa skill set, where we develop Alexa skills based on different use cases. I'm going to go through some of those use cases too verbally. Because I really don't have good slides for that. But what is an Alexa skill set? It's actually an Echo Dot. It's an IoT device, Internet of Things, where you can, talk to it, and it actually, there is an Alexa skills framework that sits on the AWS cloud, and it actually recognizes your speech language, understands all the natural languages, and it's always learning anything that you're saying to it. I think there was a huge, what you call a news that Alexa is always listening, and that's one of the security reasons and all that. But I think, if anybody has any things on security wise, I can talk more on that. But it's only listening only when you say Alexa. It only listens to that wake word called Alexa. So it runs on an Alexa's ASK, the Ask skill set, or the Alexa, skill kit that is on AWS. So I think, and don't want to go much into that, but I think this is how the architecture is laid out when, the audio responses are rendered onto the device, where we develop the skill set on the Amazon Alexa services. There is an Amazon developer portal. The development of Alexa skill set is very, very easy. The companies and businesses who already have technology, whether that's Java, Python, .NET, these all languages can be very well used on the Alexa, above the Alexa skill framework, but most of the time Python is the most prominent one these days that could be used for developing your Alexa skill set. And the middleware, it is actually AWS. As I said, I don't want to go into the technical jargon, but the tools that are there is Lambda and Node.js and S3 buckets. Those are the some of the services that are rendered by AWS on Alexa skill set. If you go and there are millions of Alexa skill sets for every little thing. The devices that you have in your houses right now can be enabled to search for any of the skill sets that are actually there on the AWS, ASK framework. So once a skill has been deployed, it can be available, and you can just say, Alexa, do you have a skill? And you just have to name, ask for it. Tell me about the weather. There's a weather skill. Tell me about a game. It gives you all the games that you have, and you can uh, ask about music lessons, math lessons. There are so many skills that are actually very, very prominent that are out there on the AWS skill set. I think the competitor for Alexa skills is the um, Google Actions is one of the competitors where you also can provide or build Alexa or voice skill sets using Google Actions. So I think it would have been more sense. I could have brought a big Amazon Alexa show to give you some of the demos that we already built out for some of the companies currently, and I'm going to go through that too. So I think mainly Alexa services it's sitting on an Ask framework using Lambda most of the time for all the API calls. And it's an easy framework that you can actually build out. Your screens could be built out. Any mobility applications that are there out in the market could be easily transformed into voice using Alexa Skills Framework. It uses the NLU, the natural language understanding, and it's a pretty easier tool. Like a person who is not into computers or little bit of technology and not been coding for a long time can start coding in Alexa Skills Framework. So it's actually that easy to build applications in the Alexa Skill, the Asks framework. So AWS has also come up with Alexa for Business. And what is an Alexa for Business? It's an actually framework that's actually built on the Ask framework. So if an office has Alexa devices located within each and every conference rooms, or if that office is designed to use voice more, and once a user gets the Alexa device, whether the Echo Show or the Echo Dot, once linked up with your calendar, it can actually do a lot of things. It's actually going to be a voice assistant for you for all your daily needs. And there are specific and uh, you know companies like InfoSmart and other companies can actually build skills that are specific to a particular business or an office, and come up with a good skill set, or a skill set that could be named by their own company, and that could be leveraged within the organization or outside the organization. So once you link here, once you enable Alexa for Business, and there is a charge, a $3 charge for each and every Echo Dot or an Echo Show that is placed in. But it's actually worthwhile, the list of things that it can actually do for you. Um, you know, um, in my house or at my office in US, I think as soon as I walk into my office, it actually recognizes me that I am. It actually recognizes based on my phone, and nearer to the phone, nearer to the Alexa show, starts reading out the first is the flash briefing, and then reads out to me what's on my calendar for the day, and any of my meetings and all that. And if I have a meeting at that particular point of time, all I would say is I wouldn't even touch my computer. All I would say is, Alexa, just join the meeting. And there are a lot of things that and Alexa skill could be built out for applications, CEOs and CFOs and CTOs. If they have to have an Alexa Echo Show. An Echo Show are of different sizes. The thing that what I don't know if you're able to see my cursor. This is the Echo Show, and this is an Echo Dot, and this is an Echo small Echo Dot there. This is a Spotify Echo Show, a small. It's called Spotify Echo, and the Echo Show is much more useful to list out as you see there, Alexa asked for Salesforce for today's sales. Alexa play concentrate, or what are the different, you can look at different infrastructure levels, which application is running healthy, which application is not running healthy. So it actually is more of an office assistant where reports are automatically, all your dashboards and everything else from a management side could be easily shown up instead of actually going onto a computer and logging into your application and finding those. So there are a lot of things that could be done with Alexa for Business and Alexa for Business. The skill set that could be built can be just be only for the organization, and you can only publish it for the organization, and also you can use it outside of the organization if you want it to be. If there was one use case that what we have built is a large office, and if you have a reception in front of the office, the skill set what we built is any person coming into the office and looking out for Andy, and Andy is actually located on the third floor, and the reception is not there. And then there is a board sign to say, ask Alexa for help. And the skill set, what it does is, hey, I'm here to look out for Andy. And Alexa could tell you, hey, please, the same way as the reception would say, understand the voice and say, let me check out if Andy is here. And it can send out a text message and email to Andy saying that, Mr. Scott is here to waiting in the lobby. And, as soon as they receive the text, the SMS could be sent out to say, I'll be there in a minute. And Alexa could say out to Scott to say, hey, Andy is on his way to meet you. So there are a lot of things that the skill sets could be actually built out. And I'm going to talk about some of those use cases as we grow on. But as you see, Alexa for Business could do a lot as an office assistant, but that has to be built out and configured for any office within the organization. And these are some of the other features, the smarter workplace, where you can actually ask. You can also even, without even getting onto a calendar, I think most of the offices or most of the organizations. Can you hear me okay? My internet is unstable, that's what the message is. So, okay. On your Outlook, most of the time there are groups or different groups like sales team, technology team, and all that. Once you define those groups within your organization, you can just ask Alexa to say, just schedule a meeting with the sales team, and it actually picks out that group and schedules that meeting on your calendar. And people who are actually remote, and if you have Zoom or Teams, it can actually, you can even enable videos and conferences. If the other person also has Alexa shows, you can start that meeting automatically, and everybody will be having those meetings on Alexa show together. So there's a lot of things that an Alexa could do as an office assistant. As you could see, Alexa call a shuttle to building C, Alexa ask team to book a room, and said that you can handle all your devices like the room temperatures and all that. But those actually require another set of IoT sensors right now. I think there is a lot in the market, but InfoSmart also has the capabilities of building a small IoT which can be plugged in for Alexa. It's the device is like the room temperature. There is Nest and other companies that provide an access to or a smart way to control your room temperature with voice but we have IoTs that we can actually configure with Alexa to talk about it instead of actually going for another manufacturer. So what I meant to say is it can be built in a small chip with a lot lesser money, with costing around $3 or $4, which can be configured towards Alexa. So it's more of Alexa could be used as an office assistant and a smarter workplace to be built out. Again, just a different way of representing as what's on my calendar. I don't know if how many of you have used Alexa or Echo Dot for looking up or linked up their calendar and asked for what's on my calendar today. Did any one of you have gone through that process? If you have not, I think, yeah, and if you have an Echo Dot or an Echo Show, it is going to be an awesome thing if you can actually just connect your office, your calendar to Echo Dot or an Echo Show. All you have to do is have the Alexa just talk to Alexa saying, Alexa, connect to my calendar. And it'll ask you a set of things that you can actually go through, which enables it automatically and show all your meetings and everything else and reminds you about your meetings in advance and keep up with your reminders, keep up with everything else. So these are some of the the things that what you can actually do with Alexa. There are millions and millions of phrases that you can actually use Alexa in each and every day of your life. In my house, I actually in my house, my whole house is actually connected with Alexa. As I come down, my lights are on. I think we'll go into that as we go on, but I'm sticking only to the office right now. As you see, you can see what's my next meeting, tell me about my work day, what are my work meetings, schedule a meeting with John, move my meeting. You can do each and everything just by voice command instead of actually going onto your calendar and scheduling those. Anybody have any questions so far?
Yes, there's one. Go ahead.
So I would like to know what are the levels of security implemented in Alexa?
Did you hear that, Andy?
No.
The security, I'm talking the levels of security features implemented in Alexa.
She's asking about security features, the different levels of security features in Alexa.
Are you talking about where it has access to your calendar or it has access to your personal things? In what way? I think the Alexa, when you build an application with Alexa skill set, it is the same kind of security for any mobile application that you can actually go through. Your login scenarios could be based on a PIN. It is actually based on your voice recognition. It can recognize you. Facial expression has not been come at, but with the cameras right now, you can actually build in. Once you look at your, if you have an Alexa Echo Show, you can actually look at it and then enable Alexa for all your things. So the different security you can do, multi-factor authentication, whenever you want it, your Alexa recognizing only your voice based on a PIN. So there are many ways that you can actually invoke Alexa to talk only to you and not to anybody else.
Did that answer your question?
But the features of any application right now is actually applied to applicable to Alexa or the Alexa framework.
You can't hurt that.
And you can talk into it.
Yeah, for example, if we have camera inside our house and we have to make sure that nobody else accesses that cameras. So I'm talking about the external access as compared to internal. It's not that I don't want my friend not to talk to Alexa, but I don't want the external access.
So Alexa device is an IoT. It's an Internet of Things. It runs based on your Wi-Fi's in your house. So as long as your Wi-Fi is secure, your Alexa is also secure inside the house.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, okay. So nobody's going to have access to your calendar unless until they reach out into your Wi-Fi access.
Thank you.
Andy, one more quick question. I think it's okay. Okay. It's Alexa for Business. That's part of what attracted us to the platform, is that Cortana did not have that kind of enterprise type structure. So I know your question was about home, but the Alexa for Business platform has all of the kinds of enterprise security and configuration that can be done on the platform. So the software itself can actually be more secure, right? And the devices, if you're in an office setting, the devices can actually also be secured through the Alexa for Business platform. So you've got the choice, for example, you can say only these two people and their voices can actually invoke something in this conference room, okay? So you have the ability to use all of the different features and all of the different security layers that are available through Amazon, but you can do it and administer it in this business platform. You don't have to rely just on the IoT part. Okay, does that make sense to you as well, Andy, in terms of the work that you guys are doing?
Yeah, Alexa for Business, yeah, it's totally running on the AWS environment, and you're absolutely right on that.
Yeah, and there was a Microsoft announcement in September, right, at their conference about their refocusing of Cortana. Do you see any, do you think Microsoft will catch up, I guess, to Amazon in that regard? Because that business platform piece of it, and I know they're throwing it into Teams, but Amazon is already on Teams. So any thoughts there?
No, I don't know who I was talking to.
Sherry, sorry.
Sherry, sorry. Yeah. No, I didn't catch up with that, Sherry, yet on that news, and did not dive in more into that.
Okay, I was just curious because I don't think
Sure.
there's for Microsoft in the near future, but given that Teams in our vertical, which is legal, Teams is very common now, and it's becoming much more so. So I'm watching what's happening with the technology on the Microsoft side, just like Amazon has built out for several years now, because Microsoft, in my opinion, we've already reached Microsoft with Alexa and Siri. But and you don't just have to have the IoT device, right? You can use the Alexa app, for example. If you have a device, a smart device that already you're using, and you don't want to install the IoT device for Alexa, you can actually use skills otherwise. But I feel like even though Microsoft is so dominant in our audience, we're probably going to get through the Amazon connection to the Microsoft 365 suite, as opposed to trying to use something that's more native Microsoft. Okay.
That's
and
right.
It's the security issue. It's the ability to administer the devices and the access that I think are really kind of, faltering on the Microsoft side.
Right.
So we don't have fear of hackers getting into the environment.
But we do, and we should always, okay? Because as you build the applications out, you're always going to have vulnerabilities from within that application stack. It just happens, right? So that's part of the reason why as software developers, we want to move forward all the time. Also in terms of, new versions of the underpinning software, okay? Because those vulnerabilities, people learn how to hack your software over time, okay? So you're always having to stay current, but there's no more vulnerability, I guess. And I think, Andy, this is what you were saying earlier. There's no more vulnerability on the Amazon platform than we make of it, right? You can make your software very open and vulnerable, but if you use all the tools that Amazon gives you, multi-factor and other kinds of ways to identify, right? There's identity and access management, which is the core of what Amazon does. IAM is a huge part of this also, and it does provide those security layers. It all depends on what the app developer does though, right? How they incorporate and whether they do or don't use all those security features from Amazon. So I don't know if that really answers your question, but it depends, right? You can make it very secure, or you can be lax on those things when you develop, and you can start exposing different devices that are connected. Okay.
Thank you, Cheryl. Yeah. IAM is a key part. Anything that you have to enter into the AWS environment, IAM is a key part, and they have gone through a lot of security measures, regarding IAM and how you share your user IDs and passwords. It's totally an encrypted methodologies, but IAM is one of the biggest keys for you to get into the AWS environment. Alexa for Business is actually more and more secure. You can actually, there is a full blown of administration that an administrator will be doing on the AWS environment. You can actually see who's accessing it, who's not accessing it, and who will be, what are the different types of skills that you can actually build within your organization. The administrator has to give those kinds of access to build those skills on any of the voice applications.
Andy, can you hear me?
Yes.
So I have a question, and it's related not so much about those kind of security features, but the I'm buying a house this summer, and when we get it, it's going to be a smart domicile or a smart house or whatever they call it. But ultimately, all the lights and everything are going to be hooked up through that. Now, I'm just a tech geek, and I can do these kind of things, but my wife is not so much. I thought that the security, I didn't know that it would actually recognize your voice. I just thought it recognized a command. So
It can recognize your voice pattern
and
also.
the reason that I'm concerned about this, and it just popped into my head because I literally was walking through the house. My 5-year-old grandson, I watched him change the Alexa name. He said,
Wake word?
yeah, I mean, just to something else. He just walked up to her and said, Alexa, change your name to such and such. And like, I had to get him. I was like, the next day I couldn't, he spent the night. I'm like, dude, you got to change it back. Well, if it's controlling my hot water heater, my garage door, I'd have to go home and I'd have to go get him. So I've got to protect it to where it only recognizes me and my wife.
You gotta shut down that connection.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mean to derail the conversation, but I'm really concerned about that. I mean, are the skills so basic that I could make it just to mine and best voices? Is that correct?
Yeah, so anybody can talk to Alexa at home. It actually, but for your calendar related or your personal related things, you can actually have your speech recognition and also enable PIN for all the things that you want to do on a personal basis.
Okay.
That's valid.
All right. I feel better.
My voice, just like my mother's, like we sound identical. You cannot tell us apart. So
Yeah.
I would worry about that. My mom could do some serious damage.
So these are the things that you can actually do when it is Alexa for Business. And as you see, I have more and more adding items to your calendar, controlling your conferencing system, like join my meeting, start the meeting, and call the IT support. It can do anything and everything for you from controlling your conference and your meeting. And this is basically Alexa for Business. that you can actually do. And as you go on, there are more and more invocations, or that when I say invocations, that you can the words that you can actually uh, talk to Alexa to set out the actions that is needed for your organization, or how you can actually utilize Alexa to your benefits on a daily basis. As you see, there are so many things that you can actually do, and I have hundreds of invocations like this. That is more and more gives more knowledge to the common user to see how better I could use Alexa in different ways, and every hour of my life, how can I use voice instead of actually touching anything, and just using voice as my daily routines. Alarms that could also be set out, set an alarm. There are different ways that you can. And I think that's what I meant to say, that my son and daughter, I think they are the ones who are adaptive to the new technology, or they are grown up with the new technology. And Scott, you just mentioned, right? I think we have to learn for it, but they are the born with the technology and adaptive, and we have to adapt that. And so, but yeah. Um, how do we get there? All you have to do is link the Office 365 calendars, and as you see, there is a valid PIN. It's a totally different framework for you to access, or to do. That there should be another consulting company who are into the Alexa or voice skill sets, that who can configure Alexa for business for the whole organization. And as Cheryl said, there's a lot of security measures that could be applied within the Office or Alexa for Business. But there's always a charge of I think $3 per device that you have to apply.
Is that per month?
Yes, that's for a month. Alexa home features. I think again. Voice recognition, and at home there are a lot of things that you can actually do with the outside IoT devices, and then configured for your Echo Show or an Echo Dot. All your personal things could be done, and each and every, like if your bank has a voice feature too, your account could be actually connected to the Echo Dot or the Echo Show, and using the same security features. I think it's an application that's built on top of voice. So as long as your bank has the application enabled, you can have all these features connected at your house. As I said, my house is totally a smart house. My TV, my lights, my kitchen, my room temperature, everything is configured into an Alexa or in a smart house. Um, and there are a lot of things and that you can easily do. Your garage door opener, everything else is actually based on voice features. These are some of the household things that you can do, but I do have a list of plethora of lists that a person can use on their daily life, on how Alexa could be utilized at home and also in the office, with a lot of command that you can actually do and make your life easy. As I said, it's more of lethargic, but I think the other way of looking at it is to harness the power of technology to our benefits and also for the business benefits. Use cases, there are many ways that we actually can use voice. As you know that these days, if you see, there are even curtain, um, what do you call, IoT device, which can actually open the curtains in your house and close the curtains in your house using Alexa or voice controls. Alexa is used, or voice is being used everywhere. But when you actually build out so many use cases, like, let me give you a live example. Like if Scott, permits for Forsyth Chamber, right? There are a lot of things that they have, lot of events. There's a lot of information that Scott has on their website. When we actually build and skill set that could actually go into voice, any member of the Forsyth Chamber could actually just ask Alexa to open Forsyth Chamber, and what are the events today? Can I go and once they open the show, once they open the skill set, they can actually register for an event that is actually happening today. It could be part of your flash briefing on what's new in Forsyth Chamber. Anything that is actually on their websites that can automatically be integrated on voice. So it's actually more, the information is available at your voice command rather than actually sitting on a computer to rely on what information is out there. So there are a lot of use cases. As I said, the reception use case that we built out automatically, and the application skill sets, which actually can read into your applications on each and every status of your applications, on your sales report, or how many sales are happening on a daily basis, and your performance of each and every sales guy or salesperson, and how is he doing, based on real-time data analytics, that can all be plugged into the voice. And those are the most of the applications that are coming up. We have showcased something for retailers last month, um, to some of the organizations where a person going into an Home Depot or Lowe's or anything else, the first thing that we go look out is we're looking out for a person who could help me to find something, instead of actually having this POS applications into these retail shows. We can actually build something where Alexa's sitting in front of the Home Depot, and it's only costing you like $280. Having that in front of the entrance, and just being voice or touch screen to find out where you have to go to find that, which aisle, how many items are being in there, how many items have been left out, or if it is not out there, you can actually go find out which place is you want to go find it out. Or being at home, sitting in your sofa, asking for, want to go to find the nearest Home Depot, or the location of what has been set out on your Alexa show, and just ordering that. And by the time you go to the pickup, there's a lot of pickup during this pandemic season. By the time you go, it'll be ready for you to go and just pick it up and pay it. So there are a lot of advantages and use cases that you can actually do based on Alexa, and it's more of the applications that you can actually build that is going to be integrated into your existing applications, using data analytics and taking that data and feeding into Alexa to give the management group to what is needed from an office assistant on a daily basis. So it's AI and machine learning. It's bringing the voice of mobile and AI to the masses like never before. It's actually very easy to be built, and gives you a lot of seamless experience for organizations where each and every technology sector and each and every business sector is actually looking into building voice-based applications, and using these devices, the Google Home, and I think, as you're all aware, I think there are smartphones, there are smart TVs, and each and everything is coming based on voice, and these Alexa skill sets could be widely developed for any any of the tools that you're actually, or any of the necessary things that you're actually using in your daily life or within your business. So basically, it's it's at your fingertips wherever you go. This is one of the retailers use case that I was trying to find out, and and when previously, in the older days, it was more of the POS applications where you go try to go to a location. And these days, I think with Alexa, I mean, AWS has not gone commercial yet because of the noise reduction and all that. I think they're working on doing that, how to reduce the noise reduction, and you just enable only the person that's actually going to speak to. But apart from that, there is touch screen on each and every Echo Show that the and person can use and type in, just like he uses based on the POS applications. And that is actually you find in most of the conferences, halls and all that, where you can find a map and everywhere. Now you can use voice and also the touch screens to enable the location. So there are a lot of use cases that can actually be built on the voice devices, both Google and AWS. So InfoSmart, again, I don't want to do much of the things there, but right now we are also building the food and beverages applications for a company who actually competing with Zomato and some of the other applications within India, where a user can actually tie into a user can order, order or get the food delivered to their houses, or go to a restaurant and book a reservation for for how many people that are going there, and book in advance. That we are building an application which is actually their slogan is to transformation of the consumer and creating a great connection between the vendors, which are restaurants, and the users. So we are actually building that, but we didn't go live yet because of the COVID, and most of the food and beverage industries are totally shattered at this time in India because of the COVID. So they have not gone live yet. I think mostly we have planned to go live the end of October, November for that particular application. So that's actually another application that we are actually, or skill set that we are actually building on top of their mobility and both for Android and iOS applications. So that the application that we're building, we are also making it seamless for the end goal, where it could be accessed from anywhere, whether it could be deployed on POS, mobility, TV, and other, since most of these smart devices are Alexa enabled or Google enabled. We are building it for both mobility and both for Google and AWS environments right now, and it could be used at anywhere, wherever smartphone is enabled, or Alexa is enabled, or Google is enabled. I don't want to go on that, but I think if anybody have any more questions, I think the more is concentration on how the Alexa for business and Alexa for home and the different things that could be done out using your voice technologies. Any questions?
Anybody? No?
The one thing I'd say about all this, hate to sound like a Debbie Downer, but I feel like George Orwell of 1984. This stuff scared George Orwell of 1984. This scares the daylights out of me.
Yeah.
And until someone can demonstrate the security of this stuff, and I understand what you're saying, it makes more sense to me. But I think a follow-up session on how security works with this is way important. because I have no confidence that someone can hack through this and be listening to everything I'm doing every day. I mean, why does my Facebook account constantly why do I get messages in my Yahoo mail for stuff I just talked about 10 minutes ago that they would have no idea what I'm dealing with? So it's out there. And I just have no confidence that the security of this. I don't keep any of these voice items near my office at all, just because I'm totally uncomfortable with that. So
And I'll be glad to do. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Andy.
I'll be very, very glad to do that. And I think I do want to do that because that's going to be an interactive session on how security is enabled. I think Cheryl, she added a lot of value there. So Cheryl I think.
Yeah, you're dealing with,
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah,
So-
I think security is one of the biggest concern. I think, as you all know, as the world is evolving, right, the one business and the one technology that's never going to be ending is cybersecurity. The more we grow in technology, that is one piece that we need to be concentrating more and more. I think the technology is getting concentrated more and more on the security aspects. And yes, AWS has some or the voice technologies like these devices had some security breach at one point of time. But right now, I think most of them are covered. Right, nobody even believed on the cloud. Right, I can't go to the cloud because of the sharing environments and all that. And now you see half of the world is actually going onto the cloud because of their infrastructure needs or any of the needs. So yes, I'll be very, very glad to discuss security in detail on the Alexa devices for the next session. And I would love to be in person to meet everybody and do it much more efficiently than what I did today.
Our neighbors, so we can go and meet you. Next time, Andy, you can come here and we'll all zoom in.
That's right,
No, I think I would have brought my Echo Show, show some of the GMSDC. We have done something for GMSDC, which is Georgia Minority Supplier Diversity Council, where we got, InfoSmart has got an innovation award for developing a skill for them, where it actually gives the same kind of use case that I was talking about Forsyth Chamber. It tells about the events, it tells about it plays a lot of videos of the recent business that actually won the awards. It gives them the list of all the calendar events for the whole year. We have not incorporated directly registering it, but we're trying to do that in the next phases for them. So there's a lot of things that that could be enabled on these Alexa shows, and I'll be very glad to. I didn't get the name, the gentleman that was sitting this back of. Yes,
Mr. Mitch.
So I think one of the things you have to be careful of, though, in what you were saying and what we're all trying to process, voice is just one of the ways that we interact, right? So it's important to recognize that if you have something passively listening, you are giving it permission to hear what you're saying.
Correct.
But it's not the only way that those ads are popping up for you.
Okay.
Right? It's actually probably the least amount of contribution to something like that, because when you sign up for an app, when you say, I'm going to connect to my grocery store, right? You're giving Kroger, for example, the ability to look at your behavior patterns, okay? And to give you access to cool features, right, that they want you to sign up for. But what they're really doing is they're mining the information, okay? So we've given permission probably more times than we realize that we've given permission to different apps, right? Or different things that we get involved with. I mean, we took a survey when we came in here, right? That opened up our device to the survey. Now, I don't think SurveyMonkey's going to do anything with it necessarily, but the way that your data gets shared and you get targeted is well beyond what Alexa will ever contribute to it, right? Because that's just one small portal into this never-ending cycle of social media and
Well,
applications and so on.
Facebook.
Well, I think it's not so much, I understand what you're saying, but I think the part that's scary to me is I don't know if it's listening and what
Right.
it's digesting and what it's not.
Well, it
And like
always
you're
has to
saying-
listen for the wake word, right?
Yeah,
So
that's what we tell.
that's the challenge, is you've got to be careful because it's natural language, it's speech.
Right.
Right, so if you say the word Alexa
Mhm.
in normal speech for
Mhm.
some reason,
Mhm. It's
and
gonna
you
turn
put-
on.
okay?
Yeah.
There are lots of reasons why you could say that, and then all of a sudden Alexa does wake up, and
Right.
you don't realize that you've woken Alexa up. That's part of the challenge, but as unfortunately Scott learned, you can change the wake word.
Mhm.
Right, so you can say, I want you not to respond to Alexa, I want you to
Right.
respond to something that I expect nobody will say, in whatever combination. I mean, it could be numbers, it could be anything. But again, the thing is, we want to experience what digital natives like our young kids are experiencing, which is, you take advantage of all of these cool applications and the convenience, right? I mean, I get kind of frustrated because I have a meeting and I want it to automatically be transferred over to my favorite, GPS app, right? Well, I've got to do some connecting, but when I do that, I'm giving permission to both.
Yep.
So now my GPS app is following me around, and whatever it is that I transfer that information from, right, whether it's Gmail or it's whatever, it's now those two are connected.
Mhm.
And in this big bad world of AI,
Mhm.
right, everybody is mining that. Everybody is predicting what you're going to do based on the things that it knows about you. And it knows you from IP addresses, it knows you from wake words, it knows you from, you name it. You've given a lot of breadcrumbs to different people. So security is really important. I think you just have to be mindful that your experiences are because of your permissions to follow you around also. Even if you don't realize you're giving permission.
No, you're right. I get it. I mean, I get it. I mean, I get apps that are, pop up now and say, is it okay to, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Yeah. But
I
the
get it.
biggest part, and this is another subject, we might want to think about bringing the subjects together, the security thing, because we've done meetings on cybersecurity, and I keep hearing Juliana Mielbauer in the back of my head, right? Because she's an attorney and she has focused on this part because she's also a technologist.
Okay.
So you have to realize that privacy is a huge part of cybersecurity going forward too, because if you don't have good privacy discussion and good privacy options for your users, then your users could consent to basically giving away everything that's to be known about that individual, but you don't intend for that. So there's kind of this nuclear option right now that everybody's going through, which is forget me completely or let me be involved.
Right.
That was my point of
Yeah.
view, to put thoughts, not like completely ignore it, but put thoughts into it to make sure that we are getting that covered.
Yeah.
And what kind of thoughts put into it, to make sure that whatever features we can use, have we thought?
What's he saying?
Like, is that-
Seabird.
Yeah.
That's.
Sure, and that takes a lot of doing. That the application provider has to really decide to do that and then to make it possible to do that, right? Because it's a lot of work to give people the opportunity to be forgotten or for pieces of what is known to be forgotten.
Mhm.
And it's about tying it to the individual or not tying it to the individual. That's the main point. If you can tie that information to an individual, then you can keep going and you can keep presenting that individual with all kinds of stuff, right, that they didn't know they wanted.
Sorry,
But, hey, Andy,
sorry.
but when you don't put the extra effort into, and I'm sure that, you guys are doing that a lot, is building in those features where you can give permissions for discrete forgetting or, for at least making it more private, right? That does take a lot of work, but we're basically saying we want to have the ability to speak to our devices and let them do things for us. So while we're doing that, we're kind of opening up some other parts of our lives that we may not intend to. It's so early days in terms of real action on privacy. GDPR started it, and then you have CCPA, and now you have all the rest of the states starting to get involved. That's where we're gonna start having people in the development world making those choices and giving you much more fine-grained control over what you share, what you don't share, and so on. Because the technology to do it is there. It's just a question of, is it applied or is it not applied? Right?
Yes.
Like, yeah. Sorry, Andy, did you want to?
No, that statement, applies very, very true, Cheryl. I think, is it applied or not being applied, right? And how well you've applied for it.
Yeah, and we give the ability to completely control what is entered associated with an individual or company. But we also reserve the right in our customer terms to anonymize or pseudonymize all of that data and then use it. And so generically, I know the behaviors of different lawyers, or generically, I know this or that. That's where I think we're going to start crossing over, is we can use the data, but we can't target individuals. We can't necessarily go after individuals because we're forgetting who the individual is. We're just observing the broader behaviors. If that makes sense. So it's a scale from one end to the next. And I think the next 5 years or so, we're going to see a lot more of this fine-grained control starting to come out.
I think I know what my next program's going to be now.
And it's fascinating.
And in reality, this is the reason that we set this group up, is to have these kind of discussions. When Andy and I were talking about this, I'm like, well, these aren't just low-level conversations that we have in this group. This is, these people get into one of my favorites was when we had the FBI's cybersecurity team come, and you talking about, it got over my head real quick because there were some people in the room asking some questions to the FBI cybersecurity team that just took the conversation to the stratosphere. And that's really what we want to do with this. And so I have the same conversations. I mean, I gave you a very quick example of a 5-year-old being able to change, the name of the device that's going to control my whole house. And so, I have the same concerns. And so I think that's maybe a security follow-up, maybe the next good meeting. Anyway, Andy, do you have any, I know you've muted. Do you have anything else you'd like to share before we go?
No, I think I would be glad to do that. Oh, did I stop? I'd be glad to do the security aspects of it. I think it's more of this group has more and more questions, and as we grow, I think as you ask more questions, we can dive more into it. But I could give a good, dive into the security aspects and how security can be enabled on these Alexa devices.
I just don't know if we can do it in 2 hours.
It's a bigger subject.
It's a huge subject.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll have multiple conversations about it, but.
Yeah, I think the other voice application, the mobility application that we are doing, we are enabling all the security features that's been enabled for the mobility app on voice too. So the multi-factor authentication and the login scenarios. It's actually based on a phone number, but it's actually uses all the levels of the PIN, it's basically the multi-factor authentication that we are utilizing in there.
Thank you so much.
All
right.
Thank you.
I think we're going to wrap up here. Andy, WeWork has pizza for us. You're going to miss out on that.
Oh. Yeah, it's been a while. I had a pizza. So and it's locked down in India. It's locked down in India. And since I came in, the lockdown started, and I am just at home looking after my mom.
Well, we do wish her well. Thank you for being adaptable and giving us the program from your place over there.
Thank you, Scott. I wish I was there with more of the devices and showing those, but next time.
Well,
thank you very much for the opportunity.
Obviously, we need to have more conversations, so thank you.